Here we are. Welcome, goddesses. I am beyond excited to be with you today, especially as I missed last week's call because I was at a beautiful retreat in England. And I was retreating with no one else but the famous Lynne Mc Taggart and her husband, Bryan Hubbard. And I was retreating at this beautiful mansion, this castle, you may say, this incredible estate called the Browden Hall Sanctuary. I didn't realize that it actually had sanctuary in the name until I got there. And oh my goodness, what a sanctuary it is. Not only is it this beautiful manor home that dates back to the 15th century, but it's a manor home that has been run by the family Tempest for 32 generations. And it's still going on. It's the most spectacular place where the manor house itself has been restored to its former glory, but down to the curtains being the original, a copy of the original curtains with so much love. A beautiful greenhouse, a conservatory that I spent quite some time in. I love conservatories. Castle grounds or manor grounds that were so huge that to get to the end of one bit where they had wild swimming, you had to walk 45 minutes. Can you imagine how big that is? And then I'll give you another number because that'll show you how much work and love and effort has to go in a place like that. Can you imagine there are over 500 people working there to keep this place going? And they have the current family Tempest, so this generation has put not only a ton of love and effort in it, but has turned it into a real retreat center where the guests stay in the manor house. I got to stay in the old nursery. It was magical. But they're also, outhouses, all these beautiful stone cottages that people could stay in. So everybody stays in the same place. And I'm sure at least Nicole and Yolanda, you'll also nod an approval of there is something about gathering in the same space, isn't there? And there's something about staying in the same setting during a retreat and not everybody flying out into their Airbnbs and other hotels, right? So it was a really sacred setting and a powerful place on earth. And we could feel the energies there. Because, just think about it, 32 generations of a family sticking together to keep this legacy going is a lot, right? But this generation not only restored the manor house to its former glory but while honoring all the history of it, but also created this beautiful, very modern retreat center in the middle of the grounds that was also called a sanctuary. And in that sanctuary, there was a pool, there was a sauna, it was immaculate. And the event, so the retreat, the workshop settings took place there too. So epic setting. And two teachers who I greatly admire. I greatly admire Lynne Mc Taggart for many, many reasons. But I think the number one thing that I've always really, been stunned by is her clarity, her authenticity, and her commitment to being a true journalist. So she's actually a scientific journalist who has been doing, gathering all this information and research that has been going on in scientific circles for decades now. And she and her husband, Bryan Hubbard, published a great magazine that you can get online and still as a physical magazine. They're still printing this. They've been doing that since the 80s, called What Doctors Don't Tell You. I highly recommend you look it up, What Doctors Don't Tell You, and see how liberating and how also calming it is and how clarifying it is to get real facts, to get someone who's not paid by a government, not paid by a pharmaceutical company, not paid by anybody, but working on a mission to be that true power of actually the extra power that a government should have, right? That's what true journalism is. It should be a stance for the truth. So I really admire her for that. And then, of course, also, this lady is way beyond, I don't know how old she is. I don't really care about those kind of things, but she's a grandma. And she has been on this mission for decades now. And she's still as true and honest and humble and delightful as I'm sure she was 50 years back or 80 years back. She's a wonderful, wonderful girl, woman, lady, goddess. And her husband is also really a sweet guy who is very complimentary to his work. So in this retreat, The retreat was all about heal your past. And some of you maybe know that in October, so not long from now, Roy and I are going to be teaching Heal Your Past in Italy. And I didn't know about this retreat when we set the title for our own workshop. Interesting, right? So then I happen to be in a retreat that's titled exactly the same as the workshop that I'm going to be teaching. Interesting, right? So what we did is so fabulous that I want to do it with you. I want to do a sort of really quick and snappy, I'll see how far we get today, of laying you the foundation of the teaching, and then do a practical example, because this was kind of the third confirmation of a message that I had got in meditation when I channel, right? Many years back, when I asked, what am I supposed to be doing? What is it that I'm going for? I was told to create lots and lots of circles of healing with people. And I did that in many different ways, like the crystalline oracles. That was my very first workshop that I started teaching. The ability to channel and teaching others how to do this was something like that. We created these circles of oracles, and then it went into, the ones of you who have been around me for a while, you know that I've done many healing circles, and we have the golden healing circle with Dr. Mark Armbruster. We've done lots of global meditations. I mean, there's a lot, but this is the first time that I am understanding how we're now at this perfect time, and we have the perfect foundation to truly create powerful healing circles all over the world through the Golden Goddess Circle. Because now put it together, like Yolanda, you were telling me, you also got that message, right? We in the Golden Goddess Circle, whether it's in the English speakers or the German speakers, are the ideal setting and the ideal constellation to be able to unite hearts, to unite our energy and our intention to make this a better world for ourselves and all those around us. So I would like to suggest today that we kind of keep the format of the Goddess Circle as in being, various people coming in, teaching things. We have topics that we work on every week. And I would like to add that at the end of each Goddess Circle, we spend, 10 minutes intending, just like Lynne Mc Taggart teaches us in The Power of Eight, intending a very specific intention. And I'll get to why that is so important later. But what I want you to know before you think, oh God, I'm going to have to pray for someone else and that every week, I don't want to do that. Here's the thing. Science has proven without a doubt that when we act altruistically, when we pray for someone else, when we send an intention like, may you be happy and healthy and safe and live life with ease, to someone else, something magical happens, not only for the one that is prayed for or intended for, but for the one that is praying and intending. And that is just, wrap your heads around that. It means that by you investing 10 minutes and praying or intending for someone else, you're healing. And with that knowledge, I hope I can now gather you into a space and give you a bit of the foundation of why that is true. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take my course notes, which I have here. And I always know when it's a good course or good experience if my notebook is full. So my notebook is full. Don't worry, I'm not going to read it all to you. But I want to set the foundation, and then we're going to head into an intention setting at the end. And for those of you who are now thinking on, what are we going to intend on? I will be asking for one of you goddesses to step ahead and then tell us what we could intend for you, okay? And I will ask you very specific questions because our intention has to be that specific. So if you're ready to then be in the spotlight and share your intention with us, share a very short bit about your struggle, right? This is not a time to tell a long story, but to say, listen, I have this pattern. I have this thing that keeps turning up in my life and I want to switch that. I want something else. And I know clearly what I want, right? I will ask you, do you know what you really want instead? And if you can formulate that, I would love you to step ahead, and then we will choose someone to intend for in this very first one. And for everyone else, remember, by intending for this person, you are healing yourself. And know that we're having Goddess Circles every week. As you know, we've been doing this for over a year now straight. We have not missed one single circle. So we're going to be doing this every week. And the more we do it, the more I am seeing that little subgroups of healing will create. So what I also want to create in our goddess circle is that we have a little of a buddy system, so that we can also connect in smaller groups outside of our goddess circle times to continue the intention setting. So I just met just before this goddess circle with my Power of 8 group that we set up in Broughton Hall. And we're intending every week together too. So can you imagine how much good is going to happen when we intend as the goddess circle at least twice a week, and then we add a personal one on top? 3 times a week? That's incredible, because the research has shown if people do this just once a week, between 7 to 10 minutes, stuff happens that should not, or normally is not considered possible, like cancer reverses, miraculous healings happen, abundance and ease starts flowing in people's lives. So you can tell I'm really excited about this. Okay, so you might want to write things down. If not, just lean back and let my voice, teach you all you need to teach so you completely understand this, and we can set a great intention afterwards. And know that you know this all, right? You know this all. I'm just reminding you. So we're going to start out with the subject of time, because we as humans usually use time very strongly in our lives and days to organize ourselves. And time is a very useful thing to be able to know, okay, when am I going to meet someone? When is the goddess circle, right? It's a useful tool, but when we look at time as it is, it doesn't actually exist, because time for us is usually seen as some moments that go forward, right? The moments that go forward, and time is something that's kind of running, right? And we segment it in short moments, depending on which culture we're living in. We usually do it in 15-minute increments. And we do that also, think of the heartbeat, right? That's how we kind of measure time, how many seconds, and, that's similar to a heartbeat. And so we categorize time into past, present, and future. Agreed? You still all with me? That's how we kind of humans do time. But then if we look at quantum science, but even if we look at the ancient philosophers and scientists in the ancient times, we will find people saying, like the ancient Greeks, time does not exist. Good. So then that means that reality is actually just a complex network of events onto which we project. And that's going to make more sense as we go on. But time is something that we construct. But there is no place in our brain that actually understands time. And science has shown that. They've done MRI scans on the brain, and the brain doesn't know the difference between imagination or the past or the future. And that's also why manifestation, in the way that we teach it, works so well, because you can imagine that brilliant future. You can imagine yourself happy and healthy. And if you imagine it often enough, your brain just takes that as a reality. So it's a little mind fuck, I always say, right? But we also know that, for instance, people who suffer from depression, something happens in their brain where they also have memory lapses, and where they cannot imagine a future anymore. Interesting, right? So time seems to come into play, and I love how Brian Hubbard said that time doesn't exist until we have a psychological trauma. As soon as our psychology comes into the game, suddenly time exists. And I'll kind of explain why that is. So think of yourself as a child, or see a child, a young child. For the child, time doesn't exist. That child is just in the moment. Think, it's in theta or even delta brainwaves, right? And in those relaxed brainwave states, in that complete, in the nowness, time doesn't exist. That child is one with the universe. Now, when does that stop happening? When something happens that has us feeling bad, where a need is not met, where something comes up in our psychology that then starts creating something in us that defines us. Does that make sense? And so we spent a lot of time understanding how actually only in moments of distress or moments of like adverse childhood experiences, this whole stuff starts happening. And then we start gathering stuff. We start gathering those adverse experiences, projecting a meaning onto that adverse experience. And so identifying ourselves no longer as one with the universe and complete potential, but as only a fragment of ourselves. Is that making sense to you? Okay. So what's so great about this work and our ability, our capacity in our brain, and with the consciousness that we have, is that with imagination and recall, we can actually fix past events. Because if time doesn't exist, research has shown, and this is totally mind-boggling, that people who got together and intended, right, for patients that had already left the hospital 20 years back, they were able to, with their consciousness, change the results of those patients leaving hospital. Doesn't make sense, right? So if that is possible, we can intend for the future, we can intend for the past. And when we intend for the past, we can fix things in the past. We can fix those adverse experiences that created a pattern in us, that had us behaving in certain ways, that created the reality that we're seeing now. Still with me? You see, it's very similar to what we do in all my work, is we always find the root. I always call it the root. You've got to find the root of the pattern. When did you first start thinking this? When did you very first time feel this way, right? That's what we always go for. And Lynne Mc Taggart calls it find the seed. We're going to find the seed moment from the very first time that you felt, or we felt, inadequate. And that's a really nice way of putting it. So part of the process of what we did was we elicited that seed moment, that beginning of the separation, that beginning when we, for some reason, felt inadequate. And I want to tell you a little quick story to that, because it was so fascinating to me. So my own experience in that was, and I've been doing this kind of work for, 32 years, right? And I know that some of us can often think, because I used to think that at some point I'm going to be done, right? Then I've worked through all my stuff and it's all just going to be a smooth ride ahead. But all of you, I think, know, right? It's never done, because we keep uncovering another layer and another opportunity to expand. So here goes. We were asked, like I will ask you, to elicit that seed moment, that very first moment where we felt inadequate. Okay, so we did a very, very short process, went there, bam, I was at the moment of my birth. And I remember in that process, I was like, this doesn't make sense. My birth was wonderful. My mom told me it was all so easy and I was such a great baby and it was just all super cool. Got back to the process and I said, okay, what's going on? What am I feeling? What am I thinking? And then I noticed, oh, my dad's not there. And I was like, where's my dad? Where's my dad? And I was like, that's weird. Okay, well, stay with it, stay with it. So where's my dad? And then I felt this disappointment, this grief, and this anger. I was like, why is he not here, right? So then the next part of the process is, and we're going to be doing that too, is that you then voice what needed to be said. What would you have had to say, but you couldn't because you were maybe a baby or you were a child at that time? What would your soul, what would your heart have had to say? And when I tuned into that, I had this little baby saying, right, you prayed for me. I'm a friggin' miracle, right? Your doctors told you you couldn't have kids. Here I am. I'm making all this effort to be born and you're not even here, right? So that came out, and then it also came out, I deserve to be shown up for. And that clicked, because then I realized that from that moment, I had made it mean that I am not worth showing up for fully. So the next day, I check in with my mom. I call mom and I said, Mom, tell me more about my birth. What happened there? And I told her my experience. And she said, yeah, that's true. Your daddy actually was there at the birth, so at the beginning, right? But then things started getting exciting and he was suddenly gone and the nurses couldn't find him and we didn't know where he was, and you were born. And then they finally got hold of him on the phone and he'd gone home to have breakfast. So after eliciting the moment, speaking your truth, saying those things that need to be said, right? You then intend on what you want instead. So for me, it was then, we always add, we're completely happy, healthy, and safe, right? And apart from being completely healthy, happy, and safe, I show up for myself and I am surrounded by loving, caring, and supportive people. That is what I intended then instead. And that's going to be our process of what we can do for ourselves. So now, of course, to keep that going, to keep my brain in that right state, I do that as often as I can throughout the day. Whenever I notice, oh, I'm feeling a little scared, or I'm feeling insecure, or I'm feeling whatever, right? I remind myself, and I just spend a couple of seconds sending that intention out. So when we do that, we are not only fixing the past, but we're also training our brain to stay in that state and to integrate these beliefs that we need to be aligned with to have that graceful, joyful, loving, successful life, right? So when I ask you right now, what is the most limiting belief that pops up for you right now? What would it be? What is that thing you keep telling yourself that's no longer serving you? And write it down. Take a couple of seconds now, just maybe close your eyes and then ask yourself, what if I knew my most limiting belief? What's that thing that I keep telling myself when I don't want to do something, or I don't know, feel fear, or something doesn't work out? What is it that I say? And if you like, share it in the chat. And there's a question in the chat saying, what's the name of that place and where is it in England? It's the Broughton Hall Sanctuary in Skipton. That's near Leeds in England. Okay, so let's see. Is anybody brave enough to give us their most limiting belief? So I shared mine. Oh, there we go. There's another one. Aurelie's saying, I don't deserve the love of my friends. And that might also, yeah, it's interesting that it's specifically the love of your friends, right? So now you can start pondering on what is the switch of that belief. And the affirmation, the intention always wants to be in present form, right? So you're not saying I'm attracting supportive, caring, loving people. You're saying I am surrounded by supportive, caring people. So we really want to, and that might be something, not only might, that is something that we can keep getting better at. So that's what I understood from Lynne Mc Taggart. What she's brilliant at is defining the intention, being very specific. And yeah, so think on that. So we have Ariel is totally deserving and accepting and feeling and knowing that love that she is and that she deserves. Okay, so that would be one intention. Then we have Lisa, who's saying, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough. So the switch of that could be, for instance, I am more than worthy, I am more than good enough to be happy, healthy, successful, and joyful, right? So you want to make it in one sentence. And I would really spend time pondering on that and really nailing it down. I'm loving it right here. I'm not allowed to be here. So I'm not allowed to be here could switch into I am more than welcome. Wherever I go, I am so welcome here. I welcome myself. And that in itself, becoming aware of that belief and then switching it is really, really powerful. Okay, I'm going to give you a couple more seconds to nail down this belief that we're going to work on today, or you can take on into the next days. And you can add to this, right? This is something we're going to be doing, or I do every single day, because, we just have a lot of stuff in us and we want to get those results quickly. Okay, so now that you have defined your most limiting belief, tune into it. Say it out loud to yourself. And notice the feelings that come up inside of your body. Just notice, is there any tension somewhere? Is there a kind of constriction of energy? What are you feeling? And could you name those feelings? Is it one feeling? Is it a little cocktail of something? Notice which part of your body you feel it in. You can put it in the chat. I always invite you to write things down because it also brings it into reality, right? Your brain knows, oh, she's serious. She's actually writing stuff down. Okay, so become aware of those feelings. And I'm sure you know them well, right? Anyone raise your hands? Do you know these feelings well? Exactly. They've been around for a while. So Nicole, for instance, saying she feels grief in her stomach. Another Nicole is saying, I feel dizziness, brain fog, and that kind of limited feeling. Lisa's saying, I feel sadness and I feel this heaviness in my heart. Excellent work. Anxiety and sadness. Anxiety is a strong word, right? So fear and sadness, yes. Stefania is saying, I feel really sad. Excellent. Okay, so you've defined it. Excellent work, excellent work. And you've become aware of it. I loved how Brian Hubbard really, I had a great conversation with him about, because I was saying we need to become aware of our emotions, but then we also need to do something about it, right? And he said, yeah. And in my experience, he was speaking from his experience, people need more time to be aware of what is and not immediately run away and fix it. And I think that's true. So let's just be with that. Okay, just be with that feeling. And for those of you who are visual, you could say, what color does it have? You could write that down too. For those of you who love numbers, you could say, how strong is this feeling? Write that down too. Okay, so you want to be a really diligent researcher, because then you can go back and see what shifted. Okay, so you've elicited the seed moment, the moment where this stuff started happening. You have elicited the feelings that connect you to that. And remember, as energetic beings, those feelings, those energies moving through our body are the connection to time. That's that psychological part that Brian Hubbard calls. You know, we all have different labels for these things, but that's what we're doing. So you've elicited the feeling, you've defined its strength, its color, maybe even you know what it's connected to in the body. So now we're going to go to that moment. I'm going to guide you there just with a very quick breath work. And you are going to say or write down, and I would prefer you to say it. You've all got your mics muted, so you could literally speak out loud. And you could say what needed to be said, and you don't need to be polite. You don't need to be, oh, I was compassionate and so grateful that you did this pain to me because now I'm a stronger person. No, F that. We're now going to really just say what needed to be said. And sometimes this is not okay. This is not acceptable. You are hurting me. Stop. You know, all those things, you need to learn to say it. And right now you're really not hurting anybody. You're just actually freeing yourself because you're giving yourself the opportunity to express it. Are you in for that? Make sense? Raise your hands. You're all awake. Great. Okay. So let's begin by taking a full breath in, and I'm going to hold it at the top. Okay. So take a full breath in, hold, and release through your mouth. Do that again. Take a full breath in and hold. Release through the mouth. And now a third time, take a full breath in, hold, and release through your mouth. Whew. Now, focus on your breath and breathe in and out through your nose. Just relaxing all the muscles in your body, noticing that energy within your body and all around you, and go deeper. Stay focused and relaxed, and allow the sound of my voice to take you right to that moment, that seed moment. I'm going to be counting from 3 to 1. And at 1, you will be in that moment and able to look through your own eyes and be aware of all the feelings that you feel. 3, take a full breath in and hold. 2, relax and release. And 1, be there now. Look through your own eyes and notice that moment. Notice the feelings in your body. And now ask yourself, what if I knew what needs to be said? And now start saying out loud what your little self, your past self was not able to say, but something that needs to be said. What is it that needs to be said right now? Is it something like, I matter, I'm here, I deserve to be loved, I deserve to be treated with respect? Could you maybe even say, you're wrong, I'm okay, I'm great the way I am capable of manifesting my most epic life now. You have no right to say that to me. Stop, you're hurting me. What is it that you need to say? Say it, really, girls, say it, speak it out, write it down. What needs to be said? I'm going to give you 30 more seconds. I would love to see your lips move as you, for yourself, liberate yourself. Liberate your cells, liberate your nervous system. Release this by speaking it out loud. That's right. What needs to be said? Yes, you matter. Yes, you're lovable just the way you are. You're wonderful. You're an amazing being, and you deserve all that good that you are. That's right. Well done. Say something else. Write it down. Get it out. Get it out. 10 more seconds. For those that are done, just take a couple of deep breaths and just notice how those vibrations are now leaving your field. You're letting it go. You're saying finally what needed to be said. Okay. Now check in with yourself. How does that feel? How does it feel to have found that moment? How does it feel to have gone back in there, to have that courage, to feel those feelings again? And how does it feel now that you have said what you needed to say? What has changed? Just notice what has changed. And maybe you'd like to share it in the chat, how you feel right now, so we can all keep up on each other and see how we're all doing. It's liberating, Lisa says. Aurélie feels relieved. Caroline feels courage. Wonderful. Yes. And that was just you being aware, right? Using your focus, that brilliant brain of yours to focus and to stay aware. So consciousness and brain were working in one there. Caroline feels strong. Nicole is saying the brain fog is disappearing. Amazing. And we haven't even intended yet. Isn't that wonderful? Okay. Nicole also feels an energy boost. That's amazing. Okay, so notice what you notice, write it down for yourself. You could write a timestamp if you want to do time next to it and say, interesting, within like less than 3 minutes, I've moved to this state now. So you have just created alchemy. You have just done something fabulous. Just notice that and give yourself a little tap on the shoulder. Go on, I can see you. And then on the other shoulder, and say, like, geez, you are so amazing. Good. Okay. So now we are going to intend for ourselves, but with the energy of this group, to reverse that belief. Now you want to be clear on what's your empowering belief that you're going to intend on now. Okay. The old belief, done. You know where it's coming from. You felt the feelings. You get it, right? You don't need it anymore. So now we want to program the brain. We want to send that energy out into this wonderful vortex of energy that we're in, called world, and I don't know, quantum field of what is the new reality. Okay, so I am worthy. If you don't feel anything yet, that's fine. You don't feel anything. It's all good. It's all perfect the way it is. You're just noticing. There's no right or wrong here. Now, get clear on that empowering belief. Okay, so for those of you who had, I am not worthy of love, it's, I am more than worthy of love. I am love, something like that, right? For those of you who, I don't know, have that feeling of insecurity, it could be something like, I feel safe. I am safe. I'm safe. I'm completely healthy, happy, and safe. Done, right? So make it very specific to the belief. And then if you'd like help with it, then put it in the chat and I'll help you switch it. Let's check in because I can see Yolanda, Nicole. Are you good on your empowering belief? Have you got yours? Are there any questions? Then put them in the chat. I'm happy to help you with the intention that you want to set for yourself. We're going to do a general intention together, right? That this belief that we have just elicited, that seed moment, is released, and this new belief is installed. That's going to be the intention that we're going to do as a group. But you, for yourself, really want to be aware of your personal new empowering belief. Lily's saying, I'm in awe at the realization about my parents and my own partner relationship. Yes. So interesting, right? So going back to this adverse childhood experience of this, my father not being there at my birth, I made that mean I'm not worthy to show up fully for, and created a pattern of course, projecting that on others and then reaffirming it. So I would especially have that with men, that I always felt I have to do it all my own. They just don't show up, right? So it's interesting how that's the work that you're going to be doing, I should guess, these next nights, right? Your subconscious will do that for you, or your consciousness is you'll notice how that one thing has been impacting all your decisions, all the things that you have been manifesting. So this is really an epic moment to elicit that top thing that's been stopping you. So Caroline has, I am worthy to be happy, healthy, abundant, right? Add on to it, make it a nice, beautiful sentence, and choose the words that really resonate with you. Okay. Okay. So now raise of hands, who has their empowering belief nailed down for now? Might need further tweaking, but for now you have it. Okay, a lot of you. So I'm going to give those who don't have it yet 10 more seconds. Got this. Come on. What do you want to believe now? Aurelie is saying, strange how things resonate since my father also was not there when I was born, and I did not realize it can have an impact. Yes, isn't it interesting, right? So there is a list of adverse childhood experiences that, you know, psychologists all over the world have created. And it's very shocking to read and to know that an adverse childhood experience could be, for instance, having been slapped, or being told that you're just not good enough, or that kind of thing. It could be that your parents separated, which happened for a lot of us. And it goes up the scale of if you ever had, I don't know, violence in the house, if there was drug abuse. There's a whole list. But we're seeing that even something like this can create a pattern. So an adverse childhood experience can be something like, yeah, my dad wasn't there. And think of how many dads weren't there, because depending on how old you were, a couple of decades back, it was not usual for the dads to be there. It was just not done, right? So they had to actually fight to be able to get in there. Okay. And the shocking part of those childhood experiences, to get back to that, is that if you have more than 4 to 6 adverse childhood experiences, your risk of having a shorter life and suffering from something like diabetes and whatever is much, much higher. It's crazy. I'll see if I can find the numbers that I was given. But I was shocked how, science is proving this. So, and that also really brings me back to my work with children and the Joyful Kids program, because that's where we need to start creating change most, right? Helping the kids not even get into us messed up adults, but actually be able to do something before that. Okay, I'm not finding it now, but it's like 40 to 60% higher chance of dying earlier and having all these diseases. Okay, so we have, what was Lisa saying? My father wanted a male, instead of a female. So I felt rejected, but now I've realized that. So that feeling of rejection, especially as your female self, will that play out in all areas of life? Yeah, it'll hit us in relationships, but also in business, right? So I'm so proud of you all for joining me on this and being so open about it. Thank you. Okay, now the fun part comes. Okay, so we're going to start with 3 full breaths, and we're going to ground down. So notice right now where your body is, which parts of your body are connected to the earth beneath you. Maybe the cushion you're sitting on, the bed you're lying on, wherever you are right now, just notice. And imagine grounding your energy down into the earth. Maybe you'd like to imagine being a tree, growing those beautiful roots. Take your roots right down and down and down into the core of the earth. Allowing that grounding, healing energy of planet Earth to move through you, to help you release any tension. That's right. And now take your awareness and connect with Father Spirit, with the skies, with the heavens. And notice how these energies from the earth and from the sky meet in your heart. Now let's take the next breath right into the center of our hearts. Opening our hearts for this universal energy. And imagining that we are right now holding hands. We're in this circle that expands round this globe. No matter where we are, we're holding hands, we're uniting this energy. And it's flowing freely from our hearts right round the circle. To anyone who ever watches this, or ever has watched it, or ever will watch it, we're all one. With our next full breath, we drop into that space of our hearts. Notice that golden white energy moving through us. And our intention is for that limiting belief, that seed moment that we found, to be transformed into this new limiting, this new empowering belief that you say in your mind or out loud right now. May all of us be happy, healthy, and safe, knowing of our worthiness of that love that we are. Our intention is for all of us to be immediately, completely, and permanently free of that pattern that we just elicited, and one with this empowering belief. Repeat the belief. But within the next few moments, repeat that intention. I am completely happy, healthy, and safe. And then your belief. And we are completely healthy, happy, and safe, and empowered by this new belief. Now, in your mind, repeat and feel that energy moving through us as you stay focused on this intention, just focusing on your breath, as I will remain silent. And you inside repeat that affirmation, that empowering belief. I am worthy. I am successful. I am here. I am completely happy, healthy, and safe. And then gently come back into the here and now. Take a couple of breaths and notice how you feel. Notice how you feel, what's happening, what's going on right now. Write it down. Maybe share it in the chat. Just notice what you notice. I would love to hear. And now it's time for someone, after you've shared your little insights, for someone to, does anybody want to work on their intention? And we all send love on a very specific intention. So we do that for a couple of minutes. If so, raise your hand and we'll see who would like to go today. Who would love to be showered with a positive intention? You've got to raise your hand so I see it. Here we go. We've got someone. Sandra. Okay, Sandra, let's pop you in the spotlight with me. Okay, and then I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself. Hi, Sandra.
Do you hear me now? Yes.
Yes.
What I was thinking about is, like my mother always said to me, don't do this, don't do that, out of fear. So I was always held back in doing something. And this is what I took now. I don't have an exact moment, but she said it throughout all my youth.
What did you say? You don't have an exact moment?
No. Is that okay?
I know that you have an exact moment.
Yeah.
So if you knew when that exact moment was, what would you say? How old are you?
Yeah, I'm very young, maybe 2 years old.
2 years old. There you go. So you know.
Yeah.
So what I suggest you do is you go back to that moment again, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could do that with the recording, and
Yeah.
you really allow yourself to feel the feelings, because you have to feel the feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Feel the feelings. What feelings came up for you just talking about it now? How are you feeling right now?
Um, well, my intention was, of course, that I am doing it now and that I can.
So I asked you how you're feeling right now, and then you told me by your intention, which is interesting, right? So let's go to that moment. Give yourself 3 deep breaths, all holding space for you, and allow yourself to go to that moment when you're 2 years old, and just feel those feelings and notice where you feel them in the body. There you go. And if you had to give that feeling a label, what would it be?
Um, it will be, yeah, choked.
And how does it feel to be choked?
um, I don't have the right words exactly, but it is. Um, it's not a nice feeling, of course.
No, it feels a little scary if I hear
Yeah,
feeling choked. Is it
yeah,
fear? Okay.
yeah,
What else is
yeah.
there?
Yeah. Afraid of doing it wrong if I do
Right?
it.
Okay. So what would you need to say to your mom? Would it be something like, hey, I'm 2 years old. I can't do that yet. I'm scared. I need you. I need your help right now. You're my mom. Come on. I don't know. What is it?
Yeah, I want to say that I can do it actually, because
Right?
the fear is not mine, it's fear's hers.
There you go. Say, mom, that's your fear. It's not mine. I
Mhm.
can do this. Say it.
I can do this, mom. It's your fear, not mine. I want to do this. I know I can do it.
That's good. Anything else? Come on, lay it on.
Give me, support me, please. Just give me the freedom to do what I want. Don't hold me back.
Yes. There you go. And you're going right in it. Right? Anything
Yeah.
else?
Uh, um, yes, I want to grow and I want to go further and I want to
Yes.
expand my world.
Yes.
Yes.
Anything
And
else?
I want to give her the trust, but I don't know if that's the good thing because then I'm
And now
taking.
you're getting in your head. You're just, yeah, I think you've said some really good things, and you might want to write some more down maybe this evening or tomorrow
Mhm.
morning. Really, there might be more that you want to say, but how does it feel to have just said that now? I noticed that you did this,
Yeah,
set up
really.
this,
I
right?
feel a bit emotional also.
Yes, there you go. So now the feelings are coming up. Now it's moving.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So um your intention then, let's word it. Our intention for Sandra, okay, we want to be very clear on that, is that you are immediately, permanently, and completely healthy and happy. And you know that you can do.
Yeah. I just can do what I want to do.
I can do what my heart wants to do. Would that help? I can do, I have the right to do what I want to do. Yes. She can
Yeah.
do what she wants to do. Okay.
Yeah.
So our intention, I like writing it down, is Sandra is completely, permanently, immediately healthy and happy, and knows that she can do what she wants to do. Huh? Just giving herself permission. And we're going to see her completely healthy, happy, and being able to do what she wants to do. Okay. That's what we're going to see. We're going to take a couple of breaths, right? We take the 3 breaths, we drop into our heart space. And then from our hearts, we're seeing Sandra happy, healthy, knowing she can do what she wants to do. Okay, you ready for that? Okay, and you, Sandra, you see yourself too, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so notice your grounding, your breath, noticing those roots. Good job, connecting heaven and earth. With our next full breath, with the exhale, we drop into our hearts. We imagine holding hands, connecting our hearts. One more full breath together. Our intention for Sandra is to be immediately, permanently, and completely happy and healthy, and knowing that she can do what she wants to do. Yes. See it, feel it, know it. Sandra is completely happy and healthy, and she could do what she wants to do. Yes. And with your next breath, come back into the here and now. Notice how you feel, notice what happened for you. If you have something to share, we'll ask you to share. I'll go first. I saw you, Sandra. It was really interesting. We're doing very short intentions now because I want to give you a taste, right? I saw you kind of by an ocean, by the beach, and you were wearing this really bright pink bathing costume. It was like it's neon pink, right? And you were running across the beach, and then suddenly you dove into the ocean and you turned into this dolphin. And you were just sort of skipping along. And I was like, damn, yes. So that came through for me. Do share in the chat, or raise your hand if you have something to share with Sandra. I'm going to ask Nicole and Yolanda, because they've also been doing these Power of 8 intentions. What did you girls get? Please unmute yourself.
Hi, Sandra. I saw you. I didn't see a scene like Joy just did. I just saw you in such a big ball of light, like so much surrounded by this light, and so safe and so strong through that it really boosted you completely, and you could just be the way you want to be, and in your real power, and without being afraid of anything.
Beautiful. Thank you, Nicole. Yolanda, what about you? What did you get? And sometimes, we don't, sometimes we get visions, sometimes we get nothing, sometimes we get feelings, sometimes words, songs. I mean, anything can come through. Yolanda, what came through for you?
I saw you in blue light, and it changed in golden light. You felt very strong, and you told everybody, I can do anything I want. And this was what we were repeating. So, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Sandra, how about you? What happened for you as the receiver, so to say?
I felt a lot of energy throughout my whole body, came in through my head, and I felt really happy and strong. And I love that you mentioned the beach, because that's my happy place to go, literally, and also with my head. So, and I really resonate with the colors also, and shine my light, because that's one thing I am on this earth for, I think, to shine my light.
Yes.
Thank you for everybody who has sent those positive intentions to me. I'm really grateful.
Thank you for showing up and stepping forward. I'll relieve you from the spotlight again.
I just
Lisa
saw
is saying,
that.
no, I won't actually. He could take this in. Sorry?
I just saw that Aurélie also saw you at the beach. Yeah, is that nice?
And Lisa say, I saw Sandra too, raising her arms and dancing, and it felt really beautiful. Excellent, excellent. Well, that was so fun. I'm so grateful that you all said yes to this, that we dove right into the topic. And I'd love to give you all a book tip. You could get it as an Audible, or if you get the real book. If you like, could you read The Power of Eight? Because then, we all elevate our knowledge, and you'll know all the research and all the fascinating parts of this work, and not only relying on what I tell you. So if you like, my book tip for this week is get The Power of Eight and read up on this fascinating topic. And if you don't fancy reading, that's fine too. We're going to be doing this work because I have some really, really, really big news. Now, Nicole and Yolanda don't know this either, but synchronicity. And I happened on the banquet that's called a banquet evening, with this beautiful banquet evening in one of the beautiful drawing rooms. I happened to sit next to Lynne Mc Taggart at dinner. So I went for it. And I told her about our goddess circle. And I said, we're doing sort of healing work and intention work and our kind of jam. And I was wondering if you would like to come into our goddess circle one day and teach us. And she said, of course, I'll do that for you, Joy. So for that to happen, we'll have to set the date, and that might be quite some time ahead. I don't know. I would love us all to already have some references. We already have experiences. We've already had amazing experiences with Yolanda's husband and with Nicole's husband, right? Christian and Robert already could feel the energy of what happens when us golden goddesses prayed. But this intention work is different than prayer, and it's different than meditation, because it's a different brain state. We're going into that focused intention state. And I'm really excited that we're able to, pack it all in there with all the other work that we do. Can you imagine how much greatness is going to be unfolding? So to prepare for Lynne to come into our circle, I want us to be prepared. That's why the book tip, and that's why we're going to be doing this work, so that when she comes in, we have wonderful stories to tell. Exciting? Yes, cool. Thank you. Okay, Nicole, Yolanda, do you have anything else you'd like to add before we close the circle? You keep muting yourself in the spotlight. Don't do that. Stay unmuted, ladies. Nicole, closing words?
I'm fully in that bubble, and I was traveling with you to this amazing place that you have been telling us about. And this is a very special news that you're giving us with Lynne Mc Taggart. And I think I have had that this week in the ordinary life, when there is so much magic happening every day, and it's so cool if you notice it, and if you believe in it, and if you also experiment with it. That's what I liked very much this week, even with little things. For example, ordering a table in a restaurant, and I didn't get the one outside in the garden. They put me inside, and everybody said, no, we're not going there because it's inside and we want to sit outside. I said, I believe, I feel we have to go there, and there will be, and we come there, and in this moment they say, oh, somebody else said they cannot come, so you can have this table outside. So always like and this makes me almost high, you know. It's like I wanted to drive with the car today. The street was blocked. I go to the car, I start driving, and they open up the blockage. You know, it's like it's the flow.
When we're in that flow state, magic
Exactly.
really just keeps unfolding, right?
Yes.
Thank you for that. Yolanda, do you have any closing words? No? Okay. So to imagine the group hug or the cinnamon roll like we did in the retreat, loving you from afar. Let's keep those beautiful intentions going. Okay, stretch out your bodies, victory pose. Thank you for an amazing circle. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you in Italy. For those of you who speak English or Italian, we're going to be teaching in Riccione, which is a lovely little place right by the sea, great restaurants and cafes, and it's a sort of seaside holiday town. And I look forward to seeing some of you there. It's only live, so there's no online streaming, nothing. It's an experience to come for. And guess what? We're going to be doing this work too, because of course we've got to now start really ramping it up. And I'm very, very excited that you're here, and I'm grateful. I appreciate you, and I wish you an incredible, blessed week ahead. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, sister.
Thank
you.